So we've all heard of pinwheels, right? And how they commonly appear in Omori? Well, I'm here to talk about the symbolization and the purpose of why they appear so much. Before we start this video, I recommend subscribing or I'll delete your Omori save files. Also, here are some timestamps. First off, note how many pinwheels we see in Omori. From the start of the game to the end, we see pinwheels scattered across headspace as Pinwheel Forest or in front of Sunny's house. If you're anything like myself, you're wondering why there are so many pinwheels and what they represent. So, according to Google, pinwheels represent playfulness, joy, and childhood. It is also said that they represent freedom. It's supposed to remind people of the wonderful childhoods they had. In other words, it also represents a time when things were simpler. Now that you know that, does it make more sense why we see them so much in Omori? If not, keep watching. Well, let's start off in headspace. Pinwheel Forest is an extra area that is located in the vast forest. To get to Pinwheel Forest, you have to climb a longish ladder. Regardless if you want to go to Pinwheel Forest or not, you have to, in order to get the sea key. Fast forward to the main area of Pinwheel Forest. There was really nothing too special about it, other than fighting the Kite Kid. But I do believe that it is called Pinwheel Forest for two reasons. One is that there are pinwheels there, and two is that they are in headspace, which represents childhood, which is what we mentioned that pinwheels represent before. Also in Pinwheel Forest, you can fly kites with your friends, which again symbolizes a childhood with your friends. In this case, it's Sunny's childhood. Now, onto real world. Just to note before I start, pinwheels have a lot of different meanings, one being suicide prevention. Now, onto the actual theory. Remember when Aubrey put a pinwheel on Mari's stump? Well, that could symbolize suicide prevention because, at that time, she truly believed that Mari killed herself, and putting a pinwheel on her stump is a sign of respect. Or it could be that she misses her childhood with Mari alive because, as mentioned at the start, they symbolize childhood and joy. The next one is on One Day Left. When you enter the secret hangout spot on One Day Left, you'll notice that there is a family of pinwheels there, and each of them has a color that corresponds to a member of the group. Purple is Mari, green is Basil, white is Sunny, blue is Hero, pink is Aubrey, and orange is Kel. While this may just be a cool Easter egg, you'll notice that Mari and Basil's pinwheels are farther apart from the rest of the groups. I believe this is because Mari is dead, so hers is farther apart from the rest, but what about Basil? Well, if you've played the game and have done Real Route, you know that Basil was trying to end his life before Sunny came in his room on the night of One Day Left. So, I think that the reason Basil's is further apart is because he was, or is trying to end his life. Or, it could be foreshadowing him ending or trying to end his life later in the game. It could also show how he had been more closed off from the group because of his guilt in framing Mari's death. I also believe that the reason that Sunny is in the middle of them all is because he is basically the glue that holds the group together. Before, it was Mari, but ever since her passing, it became Sunny. I think this because when he was a shut-in, the group initially fell apart, also due to Mari's passing. But when he came out to Kel, things started to look up for them and they became more of a group again. I saw this theory a few days ago about how the Headspace gang will always accept Omori back into the group, even after he leaves Headspace for long periods of time. So, I think that is also the case for Real World. In Memory Lane, you see the same pinwheel colors in the same place as before, but Mari and Basil's are close with the others this time. This is because of the memory of where you see this is when the friend group has a picnic together, and their kids. So Mari hasn't died yet, and Basil is more mentally stable. This further proves my theory from before. Now rewind to the beginning when I first mentioned that pinwheels represent things that were simpler in the past. Remember when Hero says that things were a lot simpler when they were kids? Yeah, pinwheels. Another thing to note before we end off this video is the dialogue that shows up when you interact with the pinwheel in Real World, and maybe in Headspace too. When you interact with a pinwheel, it says, "A pinwheel blows freely in the wind," just like how I mentioned that pinwheels symbolize freedom. This could also represent how free Sunny and Basil will feel after they admit the truth. That might just be a stretch, though. At the secret hangout spot in Memory Lane, Hiro and Mari's pinwheels are next to each other. This represents how close they were before the accident. Once again in Memory Lane, during the Puddles memory, when you walk left to Sunny and Mari's house, you can see that their pinwheels are also next to each other, which is really sad to think about because when you go outside of Sunny's house, outside of Memory Lane, it's just his pinwheel, not with Mari. He is truly alone, or that is what he believes. This is also kind of like Crossroads, when Sunny and Basil's pinwheels are next to each other outside of Sunny's house. This shows how he is no longer alone. He has Basil. Overall, pinwheels are a very important concept to Omori, and there is so much more that I didn't cover in this video. If you want me to make a part 2, just comment and leave some support on this because it took me over an hour to write the script alone, plus all of the editing I did. And if you want to see more from me, please comment ideas or follow me. Anyways, have a good day, everyone. Bye!